La diffusion vient de démarrer. Tous les participants sont en mode écoute seul.
Hello everybody, we are really pleased to welcome you to our Insight webinar. The topic of our webinar today is to encourage you to take part to the biomedical mutation. We have a great speaker today that I will introduce you, and they will speak about the trend and the growth in the biomedical field. We will introduce you also some co-creation and co-funding opportunities to facilitate your access to new technology for biomedical applications. And we will also highlight and discuss the positioning of Europe in this biomedical field. So welcome to our webinar. I'm Géraldine André-Augustin. I'm the CEO of Blue Morpho. Blue Morpho is an innovation accelerator, and we are partner of the Insight project. What is Insight? Insight, it's a coordination and support action. It's a European project. It's dedicated to facilitate the integration of smart systems in different products and different applications. And through Insight, we are also highlighting new markets, new opportunities for the integration of smart systems. Just to inform you, I'm sure you know already, but what we call smart systems, it's a combination of cognitive functions like sensing, actuation, data communication, and energy management in a fully integrated way. Smart systems are based on different technologies. It includes nanoelectronics, microelectronics, electromechanisms, magnetisms, photonics, chemistry, and also radiations. And there is a strong link with biological material as well. In our previous Insight webinar, we spoke about cybersecurity because the management of data is also very important, and this is also something we are taking into account while considering smart systems. And today we want to focus on the biomedical mutation and how smart system can take part to this biomedical mutation. And that's why we are very pleased to have a great speaker with us today that I will introduce you right now. So the first speaker is Benjamin Roussel from Your Development. Hello, Benjamin. Oh, sorry for that. So yes, hello, Benjamin.
Hi, Jardine. Hello, everybody.
So you're business unit manager for the microfluidics and medical technologies, so the medtech field at Your Development. Your is a more and more market research and strategy consulting company. And you are the author of a large collection of market and technology reports focusing on biomems, microfluidics, medical imaging. We are also performing custom analysis for your customers. So thank you very much for your participation to our webinar to share your expertise today with us.
Thanks for the introduction. Yeah.
Nicolas Gouz from VDI VDIT, you're a senior consultant at VDI VDIT. Hello, hello, Nicolas.
Hello, Geraldine. Hello, everyone.
So you're coming from Germany, and you're working at the Department for Future Technology and Europe. You're involved in technology transfer and innovation through different initiatives, including ETP Nanomedicine, the EPOS Working Group on Healthy Living, and you have gained a lot of experience in delivering concrete recommendations to push nanomedicine toward the markets. And you're quite active in European Commission action, including Horizon 2020. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct, Geraldine. Thank you.
So thank you for your participation to this webinar today, where you will highlight also the European Commission strategy. And I'd like also to welcome Marc de Colvenard. Hello, Marc.
Hello, Geraldine. Hello, everybody.
So Marc, you're expert in innovation and business development with a focus on high-tech and ICT-driven solutions for societal challenges. You're working at DSP Valley in combining microelectronics and biotechnology into new healthcare applications. That's correct?
Yes, that's correct.
And today you will also introduce us some programs that are run by DSP Valley to support co-creation and co-funding.
Indeed.
Great. So thank you all. And since we have done the introduction of the experts, I would like also to ask our participants to introduce them briefly. So you will see you have some questions that I would like to ask you. So we would like to know if you can share with us your degree of interest and your degree, your level of knowledge in smart systems. So if you could share that with us, it'd be great. So a few seconds more so you can all fill in these questions. Thank you very much, and that's quite useful because it's also helps us to answer your questions later on. So I would like also to ask you, where do you see the main added value in smart system solution? So you can fill in through this page. So just click to give your feedback. Where do you see the main added value in smart systems according to you? So 2 more seconds so you can all fill in this question. Thank you very much. And finally, we will ask you to ask about your how would you elaborate on the interest of smart systems. So you can answer the last question here. So a few more questions so you can all answer, and that will give us a full understanding of your interest in smart system, your degree of knowledge also, so we can also adapt the webinar according to your own profile. So just for you to know, you can see the result here. So the level of knowledge in smart systems is quite low, I will say, for the moment. So this is very interesting. So we have a newcomer in the smart system area, which is also very important to us. So that's a great information. And the interest perceived in smart systems is rather for new function integration, for new sensing functions. So that's also very important for biomedical application. And finally, on the last questions, on the level of interest, so we have from medium to high level of interest. So I'm thinking that this webinar will be very interesting to give you more information on how to use smart systems in the biological field. And so now we can move to the first questions we wanted to ask to our experts, which is about the biological markets, because indeed, myself, I'm involved with smart systems for quite a long time. We consider that medtech applications are very promising and very attractive, but it's very important to know what is real markets, where we are right now, what will be the growth, what are the high growing markets we are expecting, and especially what are the drivers for those markets. So it's a lot of questions, and those questions I would like to ask them first to Benjamin Roussel, our experts. Benjamin, if you could answer to those questions, highlighting also the driver you have identified for the use of smart systems in the biological field. So Benjamin, I would just like to ask you those questions. So what is your point of view on that? What's the market for smart systems? So I think we have a slight technical problem. We don't hear Benjamin for the moment.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we hear you right now.
Okay. So I will start again. So let's start by the beginning. So I think it's really important to have a clear definition of what is a smart system. At YOL, we put 3 S behind smart: sense, share, and secure. First is sensing. So you need sensors, basically, if you want to be smart. And the number of sensors used in medical devices are wide. You can see on the left part of the slide number of sensors found in different type of medical devices: accelerometer, gyroscopes, thermopile, microfluidic devices, microphone, some actuator as well, like micropump, mainly in drug delivery applications. The second action is share. Share the data is becoming more and more important. We will discuss the Internet of Medical Things. It's a big trend within the medical device industry, and a lot of disruptive medical devices arriving on the market are connected. Secure, I think secure is also something smart and part of the smart medical devices, because we try to increase the reliability, to reduce the human error through automation, to increase the traceability, increase the ease of use, be able to, for everyone to use a medical device everywhere. And we also try to have safer medical device through easy approval from the FDA or CE mark. Next slide, please. So talking about the market, if we start by microfluidics. So microfluidics, it's a technology dealing with microliter volume management of fluids, and this technology exists since more than 10 years, and today we see more and more industrial applications. Here I wanted to talk about the decentralized test based on microfluidics technology, based on process automation. And you can see that in 2015, the market was around $2.7 billion in revenue for the test based on microfluidic technology. So it's already an established market, growing market. And there are plenty of new applications for this decentralized test, like home test, doctor office screening, veterinary testing, genetic testing, environmental and industrial testing, which are growing. It's very interesting to see the growth rates linked to this market, 26%, it's very huge. If we move to the next slide, the lab on chip for organ on chip. So basically, organ on chip is a way to get more predictable data when you do drug discovery. Evaluate the toxicity of a drug is really important. It's becoming crucial as the pharmaceutical industry is moving its business model. And the ability to mimic organs on a chip, it's really useful for the pharmaceutical company to evaluate the safety and efficiency of a drug at the beginning. Here it's an emerging market, much smaller, using microfluidics technology as well, and with a huge growth rate that we foresee for the next few years, 38%. And there are a lot of things happening between the European companies, FDA, CE agency to raise these markets.
So the lab on chip or point of need testing is more established, but the next growing could be organ on a chip. That could be the growth relay for the lab on chip and microfluidics technology, correct?
Exactly. Organ on chip is an application of microfluidics. So microfluidics can be used for drug delivery, for decentralized testing, and for organ on chip, because you need to grow some cells, to do some fluid management on a device to mimic an organ.
Right. Do you see other fields that are really growing, really emerging as well?
I would say there are a lot of applications of microfluidics that I do not want to discuss because it's really emerging market. But on other medical device fields, I wanted to talk about artificial organs. So the ability to mimic biological function with a system based on electronics and intelligence is amazing, and it's becoming a reality. So in 2017, the largest part of the market is linked to ventricular assist devices. There are more and more work on artificial total heart, like CARMAT. And there are also a huge opportunity for what we call artificial pancreas. I would say artificial pancreas, so the ability to control diabetes based on a fully autonomous solution is becoming a reality, and the market needs is really, really high. It's use sensors, it's use software, it's use different way to transfer the information, and all this belong to the better management of the disease.
So it's become also smart systems are not only support technology; they are really they are become strong actuators in the biological field. They have it's not passive; it's active functions.
It's active function, exactly. And so today the goal is to replace missing function in the body. And for tomorrow, the shortage of human organ donors will lead to artificial liver, artificial kidney, artificial lung, which are also using both technology and intelligence to replace functionality.
Okay. And what could be also the future? Because that seems to be quite futuristic, but very realistic as well. Additional future technology we are expecting for biomedical field.
The last one I wanted to mention is medical robotics. So we just published a report on this, and there is actually already a well-established market around medical robotics, mainly surgical robots for minimally invasive surgery. And this market will grow from 3.7 billion to 9.3 billion in the next 5 years. So it's a huge growth, and it's mainly linked to surgical robots. Actually, the goal is to reduce the hospitalization time and to reduce the recovery time for the patients. But you can see that emerging applications like rehabilitation and prosthetic will grow as well. I think it's a 24% annual growth rate that we foresee for the next 5 years. And this technology available since years for US Army purpose are now becoming more and more available for patients for rehabilitation purpose in clinics. And we will probably see this kind of exoskeleton at home in the next few years.
Right. So you see an evolution for the robotics more dedicated to support surgery that will become closer to the patient for outside of the surgery room, as an example, but new tools for patients. Is it correct?
Exactly. Yeah, this is correct. And the first one, hospital and ambulatory care, is more linked to logistics, how to reduce the infection risk and all this stuff within the hospital.
So it's really a revolution in the biological area because what you show us, it's a lot of different market segments, different application, and it seems to be very interesting and attractive in terms of growth. So that's quite promising, I will say. And according to you, what are the top applications you advise the smart community to have a closer look at?
For the point of need testing, the first topic I discussed, I think there is a shrink between medical and consumer, something called mobile healthcare or consumer healthcare, where you see an increasing demand from patients to tell themselves a decrease of physician availability. And there are plenty of players which are willing to enter this market because consumer healthcare means large volume, where in medical it's often limited volumes, and higher value compared to smartwatch or all these consumer wellness devices. So here it's really, I think, a hot spot, sweet spot for the future. On the organ and chip devices, I would say drug toxicity screening is also a hot area because you have more and more sensors embedded in this microfluidic device for cell culture and drug testing. We see a lot of announcements that the FDA, the European Commission is looking on this technology as a new tool to evaluate the drug toxicity. And for example, the discussion between Emulate and the FDA, there is an ongoing work to evaluate how to implement these new tools in the drug discovery process, and it can mean a very huge volume in the future. And I will say for the two last topic, artificial organ, I believe that artificial pancreas is huge in terms of market opportunity because diabetes is, I mean, it's a big market, and there are today all the ingredients for a market takeoff. You have the sensors, there is the software, there is big and small companies which are entering the market. So we believe that this market will grow really rapidly in the next few years. And concerning the medical robotics, exoskeleton, as I said, will have a huge growth in the next few years. 24%, it's amazing compared to other markets.
Right, so quite interesting and quite promising market actually for smart systems. Thank you very much for this first feedback you are sharing with us. And I'd like again to ask a question to our participants. It could be very interesting to get your own feedback on that. Do you consider smart systems help us to live healthier and longer? And that's in that way it will make sense to further invest in this field. So yes, so don't hesitate to share your feedback. 2 seconds more so everybody can share the feedback. And what I can tell is that everybody seems to agree on this. It seems that we all agree that smart systems could help really to help healthier longer. So how to go on and how to make this happen, that's very important. So I like to ask the question now to, yes, first, Benjamin, are you surprised by this feedback we have received?
Actually, no, I'm more surprised by the no answer, 8%. It will be nice to discuss this, but I believe that globally, smart systems are leading to better medical devices, to better patients monitoring, to better therapeutics. So in my opinions, yes, it will help the patient to live first better. If you are talking, for example, about the diabetic, they will live in an easier way, safer, through this artificial pancreas. Through all this, diagnostics tool, we will be more in a preventative medicine compared to therapeutics medicine. So I think it's better to take the disease as sooner as possible. Mm-hmm. And all this new smart system will enable to have a better diagnostics. You can imagine that a physician need to do a diagnostics in 5 minutes, 10 minutes when you see the patients. Here, in some cases, it's really useful to have 1 month, 2 months data to do the right diagnostics and have a little bit of background before the patient visit. So I believe at the end we will see, improvement for the patients in the healthcare field.
Okay, thank you very much, Benjamin, for sharing your personal point of view also on that. And I like also to ask the question to Nicolas Goose from VDI-IT. Nicolas, you're quite involved in an initiative dedicated to foster innovation in healthcare. So how do you think that's happening?
Yes, thank you, Geraldine. Well, first of all, what Benjamin said about smart systems is very true. I would add on top of that smart systems help to facilitate the access to healthcare, to reduce costs of devices, and then to enlarge the possibility for people to have access to doctors, to remotely, for instance, or to cheaper devices. And this aspect is also important in translation, and that's what I'm working in. I'm working to support the effective translation in healthcare. With translation here, it's meaning the transfer process from the idea to the product, and that is a long and rocky road, like the picture. For any drug or medical device available on the market, many people from very different horizons have worked over several years to make this product effective and safe, but also available and affordable. So that's 4 keywords here. And that could not be taken for granted when the very first person in this process has the initial idea about the wonderful product he wants to develop. So translation in medtech is challenging because it's an area at the crossing of at least 2 worlds: electronics, medicine, and sometimes further one, like fluidics or chemistry and so on. So, and these worlds are speaking very different languages, and they have different value chains, actors, ecosystems. So to improve healthcare and fully benefit from the potential of medtech, these different worlds have to understand and to trust each other, and to find also some pivotal points to unlock the potential. And that's typically what Insight is doing. Insight is working on closing the gap between these worlds by providing elements of mutual understanding. We speak in Insight, for instance, in functionalities, not in technological or in medical slang. Insight is also raising awareness and educating actors in the electronic sector about clinical requirements, clinical constraints, clinical routines, because not respecting these aspects would definitely lead to dead ends and market failures, and not necessarily because the technology is bad, but because no one can properly use it, for instance. Yeah. In few words, addressing healthcare, if you are a physicist or an engineer, it's not an easy job, and any advice is generally welcomed. And that is basically what the Health Tech Translation Advisory Board, the TAB in short, is doing. This board is providing R&D teams, entrepreneurs, spin-offs, and startups in technological fields with advice, with mentoring, with coaching from a pool of internationally recognized experts who have already been on this rocky translation road and go through and arrived at the end. So on top of that, this advice from the TAB is free of charge because the European Commission is supporting and financially supporting different projects implementing that, and notably the Nobel project, which started last month. This translation advisory board has been proven in a previous project during 3 years in the very small field of nanomedicine, but anyway, it helped about 100 teams. And now it's opening to any, I would say, key enabling technology for healthcare. So it's not restricted to nano, but it could be biomaterials, it could be sensors, and so on. And beyond being an educational tool, this board helps really and concretely in opening opportunities for private-public funding, or for building sustainable businesses and companies, and of course for addressing the right market with the right arguments. Yeah. By the way, this board will be a key element of ESTER. ESTER is the European Initiative on Emerging Strategic Technologies for Healthcare, and is currently under final development. ESTER will provide a platform for all different technologies having application in medicine and in healthcare in general, in a totally holistic approach. It shall foster the synergies, exploit cross-fertilization between the different sectors and technologies, and address common major hurdles in medical translation. The final goal of ESTER is to deploy, I would say in a coordinated way, the full potential of many technologies for the benefit of patients and the society. You can imagine it's a little bit like a disco glitter ball. The higher the number of illuminated faces, the greater the effect at the end. Yeah,
Yeah, right.
So that's the development in translation, actually.
So actually, there is a lot of support from the European Commission to facilitate this use of smart systems in the biological field, but also to expand new technology in this biomedical area, correct?
Yes, there's a lot of initiative to support that. I think healthcare is the sector with the most support in terms of initiatives, programs, and so on. Because if you look at Horizon 2020, for instance, you can find healthcare everywhere, and there's a lot of different ERANET, so different schemes to support healthcare. Yeah.
And later on during our webinar today, you will see also some actions that are open and very concrete, not requiring a lot of investment to apply compared to sometimes some calls from the European Commission that you can also benefit from. So really use also this Inside project and our community to identify the right solution for you, the right support you need. As you can see, there is a lot of initiatives ongoing. So it would be great also that we can support you to find the right one for you. In addition to that, Nicola, the question is how can smart systems help transforming prevention and treatment in healthcare into a more sustainable ecosystem? Because that's the goal. It's really to make it sustainable and to develop new business in Europe.
Yeah, that's true, Geraldine. Well, actually, the integration of smart systems and smart technologies in healthcare, it is completely in line with a concept in medicine which is quite new. It's about 10 years, but gaining an interest. That's the P4 medicine. And P4 medicine means prevention, prediction, personalization, and participation. And why it's important and how can smart system help? I would say in prevention, the fact that prevention is actually at the edge of healthcare and well-being. It's agreed that people in good physical and psychological shape are less subject to diseases. And smart systems support the prevention, notably with monitoring of medical parameters before the symptoms of a disease appear, notably through wearable devices or devices for routine controls in medical offices, for instance. And by avoiding or delaying the appearance of disease, smart systems contribute to a more sustainable healthcare, I would say. But anyway, you can still be ill, and the earlier a disease is diagnosed, the better are the chance for treatment to be effective. So smart systems here are able to provide highly sensitive and multi-parametric sensors to detect very small abnormalities that can help the doctor to find out that you have a disease. Furthermore, smart systems are able to treat a large quantity of data, to recognize some patterns, and to extract weak signal. And it's here again to support the doctor's decision making. With personalized therapies and smart monitoring of treatments, patients and doctors can both observe over time the effects of a treatment, both the positive effects, such the efficacy of the drug, for instance, but also the negative effects, such potential side effects that could have dramatic consequences for the patient. And finally, smart systems are also the logical and I would say the natural link between highly specialized medical equipment and much more generic consumer electronics. So they can provide the interface and the platform for patients and people in general to access with a smartphone to a higher level of information about their own health, and also to understand the decisions taken by professionals, by medical. The involvement of society here is key to shape the healthy healthcare systems of the future.
Yeah, that's very interesting, actually, Nicola, indeed, because it's true that we have seen more and more smart systems like IoT entering into our day-to-day life. And the goal is also to make it related to the medical field. So that's also very important topic to be further discussed. So that's my next questions. Do we really see now an impact from this IoT, which is more consumer, toward the medical field? Because as you said, Nicola, there is this this need for prevention, this need for patient monitoring, and can IoT make the job? That's also a question I'd like to ask to Benjamin. Can you briefly give your point of view on this? Because I see that time is also running.
Yeah, clearly. So my first answer is yes, IoT is already impacting medical devices. So we see two waves. The first wave, which is already ongoing, is an evolution of existing medical device toward connectivity. I'm thinking about drug delivery inhaler, pressure monitors, etc. The goal is to capture the data and share it. But there is also a new wave which is coming more and more, is medical devices which are based on connectivity and which cannot exist without connectivity. And here it's very interesting for non-invasive measurement and several drug monitoring technologies which are we need to be connected to work.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of market size, if we move to the next slide, just to give you a brief overview, today the market of medical devices which are connected is around 9.6 billions in 2016, and we believe this market will grow up to 24 billions in 2022. So it means a 16% annual growth rate. It's important, and these connected medical devices are split in several segments. The device which are implantable, so inside the body, and they need to communicate with the external world. The self-monitor devices aiming to be used by the patients to gather data about his health. The professional-oriented one, which are connected to the doctor, the physician, and the hospital, and some assistant device more for elderly people.
Right.
In 2017, what I can say is that 85% of the market is linked to chronic disease management.
Yeah. Okay, where there is a stronger need because it's where the costs are
Exactly.
the bigger. Yeah. Okay. But if we see those data and also the explanation that Nicolas just gave us before, we can see that it's just the early stage, because it's if really the political and society is deciding to enter into this new area for biomedical application and to connect to the connected medical devices, then there is a huge opportunity to have a new health systems and a strong evolution. So I think that the fact that, as said Nicolas, the European Commission is investing a lot in this field is also very promising for the industry. Do you agree on that, Nicolas?
Yeah, definitely. Well, basically, good health of citizens has always been and remains a core concern of the European Commission, and Europe supports innovation in the biomedical field at different stages of development to help researchers, entrepreneurs, but also clinicians, industrials, and procurers as well, to bring this effective and safe solution and innovation to the patients. So I think that the Commission is putting a focus and an accent on translation of technology, because there are so many excellent ideas popping out different European labs, but so few are actually arriving to the bedside. So there's a crucial need for helping translation here. And it started with Horizon 2020. With a shift in conciliating both liberty of freedom of research, and apply science for a higher impact on the society and the patient. So I strongly believe that the European Commission, through different activities and financing support, will go on with this way and help the technology able to prove efficacy, safety, alignment with clinical routines, to find a concrete support and in the current framework program, but also in the future.
Yeah, right. That's really interesting and very promising again. And know how to make this happen, how to turn these promises of IoT and smart systems into real solutions that are used in our whole systems. That's a question also I like to ask to Mark from DSP Valley, because it will be very interesting to see what is going on. What are the new technology developed here in Europe, just to give some examples. And also further on, I would like to show that it's really possible to make innovation in an easy and fast way, because we have all the tools to do that here also. So Mark, could you give us a very short selection of technology that have been developed and that seems to be very promising?
Yes, Geraldine, I will try to do my best, because it's not easy. As Nicolas said, there's a lot of work done, in fact, in Europe. But when I refer to your question, in fact, yeah, I see two questions. It's on one hand, can IoT become reality? And the second one, can it enable humans to take care of their own health? On the first one, I can be very short. It is IoT is reality. That is just entering our day-to-day life. The second question, how to enable humans to take care of their own health, that's another ball game. The reason why is because this changes, or this relates to behavioral and market change, and that is not that easy. And if you do not look at this change activity, then it could put an enormous burden on the potential, in fact, of the market. In the Insight project, yeah, we are doing some first analysis with regard to those hurdles and barriers with regard to some specific applications. On the next slide, for example, yeah, there's just an example of a device for measuring bacteria in the process industry. Yeah, process industry and health, is it related? Yes, it's related when you talk about food. And how to manage the food chain by gathering data. There are a lot of solutions there. However, everybody can think about interesting devices, but who will invest in it? Is it the farmer, for example, or is it the producer who uses, in fact, the outcome of the farms? There is some bargaining power between those two people, and who has to pay the bill there. That could be put a burden on this type of case. On the next slide, we look into things which are already on the market. On the right-hand side, you see hearing aids. On the left-hand side, you see those retina implants. It's making deaf hear and blind see. That is what this is all about. However, this is very valuable for the individual patient, but what is the societal impact of this? And where does the government has to put their priorities? Because as such, this technology or this disease is not life-threatening, and perhaps for defining the reimbursement plans, government has to define some other kind of priorities. Again, something which can make or break a business model. Next slide, neural probes. Very interesting and very promising technology. Everybody wants to know more about how the brain is working and what the impact is of all those neurons interacting with each other. But yeah, putting this type of device in your head puts some ethical burden, and people are threatened because who wants to put something in their head? So it's another thing which plays a role when you want to transfer technology to the market. There are definitely areas where the cases are a little bit more easy, or the business cases are a little bit more easy to calculate. On the next slide, so we refer to one of the examples related to lab on a chip, where we just put a lot of activities which are in the laboratory, or which lab technicians are performing step by step. We just put it on one device, which can increase efficiency, effectiveness when everything is working well. So you can calculate here probably easy return on investment, and it's not really related to invasive things in human bodies. The same holds true for the next thing, which is just a solution for developing multi-well cultures to let organisms grow on a well, to for further analysis. Those things could create some efficiencies, of some effectiveness increase, and that is in fact quite promising and probably a little bit shorter to market. A lot of the hurdles above holds also true to what is called a promising future, and probably there is a promising future for the biosensors, but when it's implantable, it is again raising some ethical issues, but also will we implant in fact a huge number of devices, because most of those devices are just looking for one or two or three biomarkers or a few parameters. So a lot of those devices are very specific to a very specific problem area. And this is also true for next slide, is just more or less the same. It's not an invasive sensor, but it's just something which could be used in lab on a chip kind of devices, which could be plugged in to monitor a few of the biomarkers. It is not that easy to bring those things to the market, a lot of hurdles, but it is feasible, but probably it is not the job of new ventures and new startups to bring those novel ideas from idea up to market maturity. Probably big organizations who have the resilience, who have the critical mass are needed to further streamline the market and to innovate the market. This is just an example of a well-known solution developed by one of the inside partners, Roche, which is widely spread in the market and which is widely known for coagulation monitoring. But probably more technology has to be acquired by this type of big companies to really give it a resilient future. So a lot of things happening in the market, but how to tackle all those challenges will need, in fact, a quite innovative and creative approach. And I think it's feasible, but we have to do it together.
Absolutely.
Just an overview from our experience during the Insight project.
Absolutely, and it's very interesting also to notice that we have a lot of very interesting and promising development and technology here in Europe. So I'm asking the question to the participant. If you want to receive more information on those examples, don't hesitate to let us know. You can just select the one you are interested. So you see 4 here in these slides. So don't hesitate to select the one you are interested in. I give you like 3 or 4 more seconds to make your selection, and then I will open a new window so you can see the other demonstrators and the technologies introduced by Mark. So I will do that right now. And if you are interested in that, of course, we will contact you to share more information with you. What is very important to know is that there is a lot of things ongoing here in Europe, and it's not only at the lab level, because as you said, we are working on the translation from this technology to the market. So there is a lot of program also ongoing to facilitate the access to those technologies. So just inform us about the technology you are interested in, and then we can also work with you on how to get access to that. So thank you for answering the questions. This gives me the opportunity to move to the next topic, which is, okay, those technologies exist, how to get access to that. And this is something that we are also doing at the Blue Morpho level. We are an innovation accelerators, and we are running a program also for the European Commission dedicated to facilitate the access to smart systems, including for biological application. And how do we do that? We provide access to disruptive concepts, we provide access to strategic partners, and we're also providing co-investment through the European funding. And the goal is to outsource functional demonstrators. How it's working? It's working on lean and open innovation. Why lean innovation? Sorry, it's because with our action we are releasing the technical risk. As you have seen, very promising technology, but still early stage for some of them. So we can work with you to reduce some part of the risk by making some demonstrator to show the technology and the solution is working by targeting specific KPI, specific targets. With the demonstrator we are developing, you can also introduce that to customers and potential first targets. So it helps to get the customer engagement and also to have the business case validation. And these programs are dedicated to run at low investment risk on your side because we have the support of the European Commission. And it's also open innovation because, as you said, Mark, and as you said, Nicolas, and also Benjamin, we need to make the transition from the technology to the market, and it requires a lot of different players. So we are also working here to build relevant value positioning and relevant partnership between the different players. So we are working on the value chain structuration. And just to give you example of acceleration programs that are currently open, we have different solutions that also combine quite well with what has been said just before. We have an example multi-organ on chip platform that we have supported. So as you can see here, we have different models of organomes that we put in the chip. And to make it working, we need some culture medium, and we need to make sure that the medium is still correct, and that's required some tests and some validation and test monitoring of ionic species. So up to now, it was done manually. So it required the technicians to take a sample and to analyze it. And with microfluidics and ionic sensors, we have done a fully automated solution where you do not need anymore the technician to work on that, but it's fully automated. And that's a new way of developing organ-on-chip and multi-organ-on-chip platforms that also support the growth of this business. We have in Europe a lot of different technical bricks to make organ-on-chips and multi-organ-on-chips platform as well. So if you want to enter into this game, we can support you to do that through some acceleration program. The same for the robotics part. Benjamin, you highlighted the importance of the robotics. We have a lot of programs ongoing in Europe for the robotics and also for the assistance of frail people. So the goal here in this demonstrator that you can see is to monitor the people to have a very precise location. And what we want to achieve on that is to add some functions. So we have the ability to add a radar that monitor the breathing. Is it normal? Is it abnormal? So based on that, the robots can make some specific actions. And we can go also further. We can also analyze the habits. Is there any behavioral drift of the people? And we can manage that by monitoring the electricity, the use of the electricity in the house, as an example, if something totally different from what's been done. And that's make possible also to provide a better monitoring of people at home. So you can see, even its biomedical application, we can really converge different technologies coming from different fields to provide a better support to elderly people. We can also work on vital sign monitoring. This is an example of what has been done already. We have some demonstrators that can be further developed and further pushed. They are making possible to monitor SpO2, heart rate, temperature. Activity trackers also are integrated in these devices. And we have also integrated them into textile. So that technology are available. You can really have access to that. And we can develop for you some demonstrators that you can show to your customers. You can show also internally to the marketing team so they can see how they can further use this technology. Basically, that's made the technology available. Another example with microneedles, as you can see here. So it's very small microneedles, meaning that they are not painful at all. They can be used to dispense fluids. They can be used also for sampling. And they are also used by a company we are working with to monitor ECG. So with this kind of needles, we can work on disposable wireless sensors, working on different signs like heart rate, respiration rates. We can work on ECG, as we said, and we are here overcoming the issue of the wearable because we have a very strong link on the skin. So there is no background. There is no background noise, and we have a very accurate data. The same, we spoke about robotics and rehabilitation. We have a lot of technology here also that can support the use of robotics and the use of smart systems, for example, for rehabilitation after a surgery, for rehabilitation after a stroke, as an example. And the goal here is to have a better monitoring, a better treatment. And this is also an example of how to use IoT for a better monitoring of patients. So this is the example that are currently available. If you want to receive more information on this program, again, don't hesitate to let us know. You just have to let us know the field you are interested to receive more information. That's our awesome ongoing program. We have funding available if you want to have access to this program. And it's also part of the Insight program dedicated to showcase some demonstrators and to encourage companies to have access to smart systems. So if you want to receive more information, don't hesitate to let us know. We have more than those technology available, so you can also indicate us if you want to receive more information on other programs. Mark, I know you have also some ongoing activity at DSP Valley, so I will be really pleased to hear about it, and so it could be also a very good opportunity for participants to enter into acceleration program.
Yes, that's correct. I think with what you just presented, Geraldine, we are fully in line, in fact, with that, because one of the topics which we are exploring more and more is how to bring, in fact, this very valuable research to the market. There is a lot of research being done, and in fact, it's key to continue with this. People have to explore further what kind of technology can shape our future. However, to make it to the market, as I said earlier, we have to start focusing when we want to bring those diamonds to the market. On the next slide is just the general statement, which is based on some research done by the European Commission itself. In fact, a little bit evaluating their programs, is that there is a lot of work done, but few of the solutions developed can make it to market because there are, again, more hurdles, barriers, drivers, and so on for building resilient value models. In fact, for solutions to reach the market, it's not only technology which matters. Honestly, to solve within the current market conditions already a major part of the market challenges which are existing now, we have already enough technological capability to match that requirements. However, the market is still an issue, and how to reach the market, which kind of operational assets do we have to develop to serve that market in a resilient way. Those two topics, market and operational readiness, are not enough looked at. We do some activities within the healthcare environment in this Insight project, and in fact to develop some sound value propositions enabled by MMBS technology, where MMBS is an acronym for micro, nano, and biosystems. In healthcare, we have to look at an enormous amount of market-related topics. First, what is a specific application which we are targeting? For example, only the disease type is already one of the major solutions, and there are numerous of diseases which are not and which are also altering. For example, when we look at the flu viruses, it's not each year the same flu which we see appearing. So that's already a big issue. Second is what kind of stakeholder do we address? Patients? Do we address providers? What is the value created for the payers and the policymakers? They all have to perform a specific job within this ecosystem, and we try to solve part of it or help them performing that job by delivering some MMBS solutions. We also have to take into account there is some difference in bargaining power between those people. It's not because a patient likes it that the payer will pay for it or that a provider will subscribe. So those elements are very subtle balances within the ecosystem which we have to take into account. And then from time to time more the easy part is which part of the value chain do we address? Is it monitoring or preventing, or are we rehabilitating, are we intervening, and so on and so forth? It is in fact a complex interacting system where everything has more or less to be in line to develop resilient value models. And those questions can't be solved alone. And at DSP Valley, in fact, we set up this kind of multidisciplinary, cross-sectoral innovation approaches where we start from a concrete ID, we bring people together, and currently the slide shown now is a timeline of some exercise we do in the cardiovascular area, where together with University of Maastricht, University of Hasselt, and Research Institute in Belgium, Vito, we are looking into solutions to predict more accurately cardiovascular risks. It is a very difficult exercise because we are working with researchers and we have to make them think into market terms. And that's the reason why we go through a lean approach where we allow those people to learn by doing, to pivot their ideas and to elaborate together, not only with researchers, but we also bring them in contact with all kind of experts who can deliver the right expertise to move things forward on market readiness level, technology readiness level, and operational readiness level. We also have some money available for that because it's about 350,000 euros, which is open for additional experts to join this program. And those are the type of approaches which we try to develop further, not only within this domain, healthcare and MMBS, but also, for example, in IoT for other kind of societal challenges. And that is, in our opinion, a quite important approach to move things forward, bring people together and collaborate on everything. So that's in fact what we are doing now at DSP Valley.
Right, so I think we can ask our participants if they want to receive more information about your program, because it seems to be quite interesting. It's the way to get access to partners and also to get access to funding. So if you want to receive more information, then don't hesitate to let us know. We will be pleased to put you in contact. I think we said a lot about everything which is going on in Europe. Which seems to be very interesting and very promising. The question is, okay, as you said, a lot to be done, a lot of players to be engaged, but what are really the strengths of Europe in the biomedical area? The question is, what is the right position of European companies? And I think it will be very interesting to get Benjamin feedback on that. You are expert in this field. Can you give us a slide overview on the European positioning in the different high-growing markets you identified previously?
Yes, sure. So if you can move to the next slide, I wanted to show you some map where I put some players, and you can see that you have a lot of players located in Europe for point of need testing based on microfluidics. So here it's not an exhaustive list, but it's just to show you that we have big and small and promising players located in Europe. So we have already a number of commercially available solutions, some product under development, and a lot of startups company which are looking for funds, which are looking for help to enter this market. So I think it's really important to continue to support them. On the next slide, for the second topic, organ on chip. So you can see that in Europe, we have also some developments, several startups company, mainly small companies, which are aiming to enter this market with solutions. Mimetas is quite big in this field, and they are working a lot with pharmaceutical company to put their solution on the market. Tissue is also a company with a lot of promising product under development. If we move to the next slide for the exoskeleton, artificial organ first. So artificial organ, same. We saw in a previous slide the name of Roche mentioned. So Roche is active in this field. Debiotech, Fresenius, Carmat. There are a lot of players. Some small players like Diabeloop, French companies. some very large players like Medtronic. So we have a strong ecosystem in Europe to address these new markets. Next one is linked to exoskeleton and rehabilitations. Here again, we have a lot of company located in Europe. It's a mainly startups company which are developing some exoskeleton systems. They are trying to catch the wave and they need support. And I think we have all the ecosystem to help them. So what I wanted to say is that behind this OEM companies, so the company which put the product on the market, there are a lot of company in Europe at the different stage of the supply chain. We have device maker, we have a lot of sensors company, we have system developers company, a lot of company aiming also to reduce the time to market, to help companies in the market access, reimbursement, and so on. And the European Commission is also doing a lot by investing in the promising company, helping them to access the market in the right way. So I think we have everything to be a big players in the world. But the goal, I think, the main challenge for us is to keep the promising company and to secure the innovation in Europe, in our continent. Because, for example, if you take company like MedTech, so the developer of ROSA Robotics for neurological and spine procedures, they have been acquired by an American company named Zimmer recently. Another company like that is SMB, a company specialized in point of need testing for veterinary application, which has just been acquired by Zoetis, another giant from US. So we need to help this company to structure themselves and to support them and have them staying in Europe if possible.
Absolutely, yeah, that's very important point you're raising here. And I think we did answer to this question during all the webinar. The biomedical field is really in line with European innovation strategy. I think this is something that you can confirm now, Nicolas.
Yes, that's true. And I think Benjamin said it, it's all about ecosystem. So it's about supporting the ideation part of the value chain, but also all the elements up to the market. And to create the environment for favorable investment and so on, and then the rest will come. I won't say from alone, but it will help this translation and reduce dead ends actually. Yeah.
Absolutely. And that's also the goal of this Insight project dedicated to the smart system integration ecosystem. So if you are interested to join our action, if you want to receive more information on how to get also the support from the European Commission or to give your voice to the European Commission policy, don't hesitate to join us, to join also the EPOS, the European Technology Platform on Smart System Integration. As you can see on this slide, EPOS is working on research priority, on road mapping, on the strategic roadmap agenda, and on policy positioning. So you can have access to very strong consortium and very strong partner, getting also some funding and support. So if you are interested, don't hesitate to join us. I wanted also to highlight that during this webinar, we get a lot of information and data from YOL, and you can have access to those information on YOL reports. They are all available and commercially available on the imicronews.com website, as you can see on this slide. So you have different reports, point of need reports, artificial organs, medical robotics, connected medical devices, but I'm sure more than that. So all coming from Benjamin Roussel and his team. So don't hesitate to visit the website. And of course, if you want to receive more information on Insight or also on additional, don't hesitate to contact us. If you want to receive more information on Insight, just let us know right now. You can answer to this questionnaire right now. And if you want to receive more information on the Yule report, I really encourage you to go to the ironmarkernews.com website. You can also visit the EPOS website. We will send you the link shortly. So I would like to thank our experts. Thank you very much for this very interesting discussion and your commitment in this webinar. I think you gave very strong input. So thank you very much. Thank you, Benjamin.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Nicolas.
Thank you, and thank you, Geraldine, for organizing this webinar.
And thank you, Mark, again.
Thank you very much for listening.
So thank you very much to all the participants. Don't hesitate to share your feedback. And we would like to thank you and to welcome you again to our next webinar. The next one will be on the sports, but we are more coming. So don't hesitate also to visit our page dedicated to the Insight project. If you wish to receive more information, this is our email, my email and my number, so you can contact me. And if you wish to receive also more information on the Insight project, I encourage you to contact Petra Weiler, our coordinator, and you have her address email here. So thank you all for your active participation. Thank you to the participants that have followed this quite long webinar actually, but I think quite interesting. Thank you very much. And have a good day now. Thank you.
Thank you.
Goodbye.
Bye.